Hi guys, welcome back on a new episode Rising Stars, where we talk about Montreal actors as well as we invite coaches and invite casting directors so that you can know the industry a bit better. A little notice about the sponsor that we have, Urban Eats Montreal. Go check out their website. And I'm very happy to introduce the guest that I have today to you. The person actually has two sides of his background. He is originally from Albany, lives in Canada right now, and he has both directing and acting experience. So welcome, Gent Bejko.
Thank you, Roksana.
Thank you very much for taking your time.
Albania, actually, because people will think
Albany.
I'm from Albany. Albany is in New York.
Oh my! Can we? No, hold on. Can we?
It's fun.
No.
Keep it. It's nice because people always get that from me. Like when they're talking to me, and they ask me, where are you from? I say, from Albania. They say, oh, Albany. Oh, why do you have an accent? And I'm like, it's Albania. So it's in the Balkans.
Oh my God.
But it's fun. It's fun.
So, okay. You started your, initially your journey in Albania.
Yeah. I was born and raised
You
there.
were born and raised there, and you started there your journey as, first and foremost, as a director.
Yeah.
So that's where your roots came from.
Exactly. It's the University of Arts of Albania in the capital, Tirana. And when I studied, because I studied from the 1998 until the 2002, and it's a 4-year
Program.
So it's a 4-year program, and during those 4 years, we do also 3 years of acting.
Acting. Okay, that's how.
Because you have to know the actor. Like to direct an actor, is better you feel under your skin first. So, but in that way, we were, let's say, prepared for doing both. But the main is directing.
Directing.
Theater, and then it comes TV and cinema.
Do you find, I mean, how long have you been in Canada?
I've been coming and going since 2005.
Okay, so it's
but really settled that we started to live here, like me and my family, was in 2015.
Okay, well, almost the same year of arrival.
Yeah. Maybe we were in the same place, but we don't know.
Maybe exactly when we were.
I took the transit from Istanbul.
Okay, no, that was a bit of a different.
Yeah.
Do you do you find the differences between the teaching and teaching for the acting and directing filming here in Canada versus in your country of origin?
Well, there actually it has changed the system also.
In Albania.
In Albania, it's like now it's 5 years, so it's like 3 years of bachelor and 2 years of master. On my time, it was like the entire one, 4 years. You have there the bachelor and the master is like the same. So about that, let's say that kind of construction of the education system. Now they are with the Bologna card is called. That is like a measured system that takes all the European countries. So this is like 3 and plus 2.
Okay.
About the school then, of course, in my time there was like, we had the strong basis were based on the Konstantin Stanislavski method, which is maybe the most used method even in the West, because most of his students immigrated in the West. So that's the basis. We also took like knowledge on the Brecht method, Bertolt Brecht, the German guy. Which is like a different kind. He's almost the opposite of Stanislavski, because he's like the kind of let's say the cabaret style, the stand-up style, when you get out of your character and you get in. For example, you're playing a character and then you get out and say, and now he says this, and you get in again. You know, it's like a mixture between commedia dell'arte sometimes.
Okay.
So it would take like days to explain Brecht, and compared to Stanislavski, which is about like living the moment and being more realistic. And when I come here, sometimes I talk with colleagues of mine here, and they start explaining the way they were taught here, and they use names like Meisner or Strasberg or Adler. And there's differences, of course, but the main, I've seen that the main, it comes from the Stanislavski method. What is the difference? It's what Stanislavski used to say, that every student is a system, which means that you take from your teachers and you create your own system. So basically every student is a system. And that's like naturally is going to come to this point that we have a lot of methods which are similar, but they come from a root. Of course, he didn't invent theater or acting, but he brought it into a book, let's say, into a more scholastic way. Because acting itself is a profession, let's say, older than the prostitution.
Yeah.
Because what actors do? They dress and undress.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah. You put on
Paid
the
by the
character,
audience.
you remove, yeah.
So they entertain the audience.
Exactly.
They don't enjoy every time, but they have to make people like laugh or cry. So they have this kind of
Very
contract.
emotions.
So acting, basically, it's the oldest profession in the entire civilization, at least at
While
the
you
world.
studied, let's say you had 3 years of acting,
Mm-hmm.
your heart lays more still in the directing or acting, or it's 50-50?
Well, no, it's not exactly 50-50. It's just that like both acting and directing are collective works, so are not individualistic works. Of course, the actor is more on its own because it has to prepare the character and like work on his part or her part. And directing comes to ensemble the entire piece. It's like the king of, at least until the producer was invented. He was the king, the director. And there's like this difference. The responsibilities are bigger for the director. So you are the last person to think of yourself. You have to think about all the entire piece. The actor is more on its own.
Individualist.
It's like
Team player, but
yeah, it's
still,
a team player, but it's like it's on his own. Like he has to score his own goal, you know. So in that part are very different. Like sometimes there's actors that think they know the job better than the director. But for me, that kind, even if it's the worst actor, if you are a good director, you can take out the best of him. I remember in one of my first shows as a director in a theater play, I had this terrible cast of actors.
I had a question.
Oh, yeah, they were
did you
terrible.
have,
Like, but you know.
but you casted them, no?
Yeah, I casted them, but I casted them on purpose.
Really?
Yeah, because I built up a show with these guys. I built up a show, let's say, based on their mistakes, their do-nots, you know? So the things that they should not do, normally an actor should not do, and they were doing that. I used that part and put it on stage.
Okay.
And it came an hilarious comedy?
Comedy?
Because it was a comedy. And it was a successful, let's say, play, which opened my doors after for my career. Like, you know,
But the cast was terrible, so you somehow
well, I don't want to blame them like that, but they were not really the cast that you should have in a comedy. But they had this kind of, let's say, for example, if I tell you to raise your right hand, you're going to raise your left hand, you know? So I would use that. Or if I would say, like, count until 5 and then talk, and you count until 20 or until 1, and you do it, that's what I wanted to do, you know? So I reversed the entire process with them. And I also was experimenting all the time because I was like just finished the studies, the university. And I was experimenting on that, on some what we call mise en scène, you know, like the stage, the way you put actors and like they move and
like the blocking.
The blocking, yeah. So I was operating also with that, and in that time I know that I did something that like for a theater director, it's very difficult to do that. To perform, like to create 3 layers of acting into one scene, but in that order that no one of these layers, these plans, would interfere with each other. So there was like a triple action on stage, but very coordinated.
Okay, I think I
You know,
can.
let's say 2 actors are doing dialogues here, and then behind them there's 2, like another couple like trying to make love or something like that, you know, and behind them there's like 2 other statues moving in a very like slow motion kind of way, and this was coordinated so that it would not interfere. So it's one of the things that I remember on that time, that I was watching myself on the time. I was not believing that.
But you did a lot of theater. Did you also play in theater as well as an actor?
I've started when I was a student. Like we were separated. Most of the classes, the students of directing were doing their own plays, and we were using like each other to stage the plays that we were staging. And because we were not allowed, especially during the first 2 years, we were not allowed to pick up from the acting classes on our plays.
Okay, so you were as a
Yeah,
class of
let's say, for example,
needed...
all here we're 6 people, and we're all directors. Now each of us has to do a play, like for
and
the
do
semester.
a role in that play by yourself.
Most of the time, if I was directing, all you guys were my actors. Then when you were directing, all of us were your actors. So we were playing for each other. In that way, we were like learning, and in the same time like understanding acting. So that was what we were doing on the time. And that taught us acting. It gave us the acting feeling.
The feeling, the taste of it.
So I started to play since then, and to my surprise, I've been a very silent guy when I was at that age, not like now. To my surprise, in the first show that we did, it was like without words. It was more like what we call an etude. It's
pantomime?
It's not. No, it's not pantomime. It's more like a short play, but the situation has to go without words. You don't need to use words. It's more used music, you know, and by the way you're acting, you're transmitting. Maybe a few words sometimes that are necessary, but try to avoid them as like as much as possible, you know. So we were doing these 2 prisoners, and that was my first as a student, and people were laughing. It was supposed to make you laugh. Yeah. It was a comedy. So, and there I saw that I had that kind of comedic timing or comedy thing into me, you know, the humor. Although after that, then I started to play in comedies, but also more I was liking the drama part, like every young actor that thinks that the dramatic ones are the serious ones.
Yeah, I think there's that kind of
cliche. It's a cliche, but it's a pretty stupid cliche. Because for me, the best actors are the ones that know comedy. They can bring you the drama very easily. Easier, yeah, the real drama. Because you can pretend to build a drama, but if you want to create the real drama, you need a comedian for that.
Interesting. I never thought of that.
But I'm talking about comedians, not just like humor guys, like guys that tell jokes.
Yeah, I understand. You're not talking about the stand-up comedy. You're talking about the people who do
like
comedy.
Through the comedy, they give you something. You know, they don't just make you laugh. The best example for that is Robin Williams. So Robin Williams was the perfect example for that. You would see him like make entire crowds laugh, but you would also see him like in a few movies that he's totally different, you know. He's dramatic, he's sometimes scary, you know, because he was a comedian.
Interesting. I never thought of from that perspective that you need to be a good comedian to bring a good drama.
But because like the comedy in reality has been born by the drama, by the dramatic situations in life.
When you find how to bridge them with humor.
No, you don't have to bring them up with humor. Sometimes the pain is so bad that makes people laugh. Like that traditional example of the comedian that falls from the stairs and gets hurt, and he's really hurting, but people are laughing because his face is so funny, but he's suffering in that moment. It's like Chaplin style.
Yeah, Chaplin style, exactly.
He's playing like the dumb guy or the, but in reality, he's playing with the dramas, you know? He's bringing the poverty, like the love relationships or the relation with a kid, you know, in the street. So it comes from the drama. And in all my works as a director, I've worked with the actors and I've always been telling them, like, don't try to be a comedian. Find the drama in your character. Explore that drama, create that drama inside you, and then push it to the limit. And when you push it to the limit, then come back. Don't stay there. Because if you stay there, you might be funny, people will laugh at you, but there's no real comedy there. Once you have explored the extreme, you come back, now you have built your character, and now you don't need to make people laugh. You just say your lines like your character would say them. In that sense, you see that a good comedian brings up the comedy.
Yeah.
You know, it's not forced. You don't force it. Because you have to know, before doing comedy or drama, you have to know the audience. So you have to break that fourth wall in between you and the audience. If you don't break that, you have no chance of amusing or entertaining people.
As an actor, what do you find more difficult, theater or film, television? Or more interesting,
theater,
or more like, I mean, they're different.
You know, like theater is the main one. If you love theater and if you're able to play theater, it doesn't mean that you're able to play in a movie, let's say.
It doesn't mean.
It doesn't mean, but if you are able to play in a movie, of course, your analytic process is going to be better.
Why do you say and now it's interesting. So I always thought that if you did theater, you'll be like, okay, like it's your foundation. Like you've done theater.
But that's the foundation. Theater is always the foundation because in theater, you have the time to explore the character or to create a character as an actor. And when you have this kind of possibility, you have also the other one that you are meeting with the real audience, the live audience. What doesn't happen in a movie.
Yeah.
So in a movie, whatever you do, movie is always going to be, like the film is always going to be artistic, of course, but also very technical. Because it's based in the editing process, is based like in the way it's shot, and there's no real connection with the live audience until it comes out to the cinemas.
Yeah, or even when it comes to the cinemas, yeah, like it's.
So it's like there's another challenge with the movie, but for the actor, the theater is a more better challenging thing because it's with a live audience. So there you know if you can make people laugh, cry, or if they are following you, or let's say if somebody yawns when you're acting.
Did you ever have anything like because I did.
Of course it happens.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God! Does it? Like
it happens sometimes, like, but even you feel it that the audience is not following.
I remember, like, before we moved to Canada, I always loved classic Russian theater. I was never a big fan of opera or ballet. No offense, just like I loved the classic theater, and I used to go like regularly. And I remember that I was always so pissed off when like the actors are on the stage, and then there's someone who is, I don't know, like phone rings
eating chips
or eating something or unfolding like a chocolate. I was like, I was thinking like, oh my God, like how much it would throw the actor off. I wanted to smash the person who was sitting next to me and like trying to eat something. Like you could have eaten, I don't know, before, after, but like how it doesn't throw off, like how to, my question is then.
That's the worst thing that can happen in the theater, you know, but you have to have present that people now, since they're going into the technology stuff, and like they're even forgetting cinemas, like the magic of the big screen.
Yeah,
Now they are staying on the small screen, you know.
Right.
So, but in theater, of course, theater is a more, let's say, an institution of education in a certain way for the audiences. So there you learn that you should, how you should be as an audience. Like you go to theater, but if you go to a movie and you're eating popcorns, and that noise, that it doesn't disturb.
Well,
the
it
actor,
disturbed
like,
the neighbors, but yeah, not the actors. You're
but
right.
not the actors. But in a theater, you cannot do that. You're going to disturb both of them. And sometimes there's actors that would even stop the play. I've assisted in one of these in Albania on the time, and actually the actor that was on stage was one of my professors, a really good actor, and he's performing, and suddenly somebody's doing that kind of thing, like eating chips, and he stops the play, and the audience is frozen because the audience now is thinking, oh, he forgot his script, you know? And the guy goes and says, you. After you finish eating, I'm going to finish the playing. And the guy's like, you know? And it's like, oh, sorry, no, you're not sorry. You're out. Get out.
Oh, wow.
Unless
like
you don't
point?
get out of the audience, I'm going to stop the play. Get out now. And the guy is like in a robotic way, like he wakes up and he goes out, you know? And he's waiting outside until the play is finished, and then he goes and meets the actor and says, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to. And the guy goes, no, you don't do that. You can't do that. Like, your excuses are not, like, they're not worthy. So just, I don't want to ever see you in a theater. You're not the audience for the theater, you know? Of course, this is a very harsh thing, but sometimes it's necessary when...
As you were right now telling this story, I remembered I was in the theater, and someone's in the audience phone started ringing.
Oh, yeah, that too.
And the actress on the stage, she's like very famous Russian actress. Like I love her. She's been out there for years. She I think she was in like a weird position, whatever, the actor was holding her, and then she turns to the audience and is like, can somebody pick up the phone? So, but yeah, it's so embarrassing, those kind of situations.
This is okay, the phone is ringing, but I've seen things like the phone rings and the guy opens the phone and says, I'm at the theater now, I'm at the theater, I'll call you later, okay? And everybody's listening, you know, because it's an empty space, you know, the voice echoes everywhere. So it's like you can hear this guy like, I'm in a theater. So it's, it happens.
How do you, I mean, like it's, for me, it's more the question of how to manage yourself if you are on stage and something like that happens, not to get distracted.
Well, first of all, what you use as an actor, you have to be concentrated in what you're doing. And you have to enjoy that. Sometimes we forget to enjoy that. To me, it happened in one of my latest works. In the first day, I got stressed out because of like last minute changes. And like I was stressing out, and it was a colleague of mine that she told me like, what is happening to you? We play theater together, you're not that. So you forgot to enjoy. And that was like a trigger, you know, and I said, okay, and then I got back on the... So it's being concentrated and enjoying that. And you have to work hard, because it's not like you get a script and you have to just go like blah, 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 and say your part and play the Marlon Brando style, which is very wrong. because you have to have models, but you must not imitate your models. So you have, and what another trigger for the actor is that you have always to base your character on your particularities. Sometimes people think that, oh, I'm gonna create a character that it's not me. Of course it's not you, it's a character. But you have to base that character on your grounds, not on somebody else's. And in order to do that, you have to be like open-minded, you have to read, you have to study, you have to watch a lot, you have to meet people. It's very necessary for an actor to be around the humans, the other humans. Not that he's not a human.
Yeah,
but,
I understand, yeah.
But you have to meet people, you have to make a kind like a surveillance on characters. Of course, without being a weirdo, you know. But you have to watch, to catch details, you know, and then you can put them to your character. But the character is always you. And you know you're not that character, but you can base it on your details. Like sometimes if you have a tic, or if you, I don't know, if you have a kind of a gesture, you have to adapt into that, you know? Adapt it and mix it with your character. It's sometimes we see like these actors that, let's say that their characters are mad characters, like Joker kind of,
Psycho.
and they think like, oh, he's so good. He's so good because he found that part of a psycho inside him. Because every one of us is a psycho in some particularities on his brain, you know, but it's just like, is it going to come ever to use them in real life, you know? And hopefully not, you know. But as an actor, you have to find them, use them for your purpose without harming yourself.
And bringing them to bring that piece to the surface, and then remove it back.
But manage that piece, you know?
Yeah.
Because if I'm playing a killer, it doesn't mean that I'm going to go and kill for 2 months until the project is done, you know?
Getting into character, yeah.
To get into character, yeah. It doesn't work that way. So
it's interesting because when you said about it's good to have like a benchmark or whatever, but not to copy or mimic it. When I do the scenes in the acting classes, eventually I always get the scenes from real movies. I never watch, like I never go and watch
that
to watch
the movies.
Yeah, I never do that, and it's bad for me, but it helps me on that side because I don't watch a lot. So that's why, like, most of the times I would see the script and it would be like a fresh white page for me, and then I can create the character. I do go and read the character description eventually. If it's already released something, then you can go read, but I never watch how the other actor did it, because then, to your point, it creates a bias to a certain extent to your point, and then you try to mimic it. Which is really it's an interesting point. So, as someone who worked behind the camera and in front of the camera, how the experience behind the camera helps you, or let's say off the stage as a director, helps you as an actor on stage in the theater or as an actor in film and television?
So during my career in Albania, I worked almost 20 years in the television broadcasting. So I was directing, producing, hosting, doing also like I was in front and behind the cameras. In some projects, I was like part of the show. On the time we created a weekly show that it still goes on until now. Which was like a kind of a Saturday Night Live, but called The Orange. And I was like in the first crew that the cast that we created. And there I was just as an actor. So my relationship was just acting, and on the time we didn't have like, we had just 2 writers.
It was like a sitcom?
And no, it was a weekly show, like a sitcom. Well, it's not really a sitcom because sitcom is a situation comedy. That is more like a show built with different sketches and skits, and sometimes a kind of like invited a musician or stuff like that. But on the period that I'm talking was really successful, and I worked there like until 2010. So 7-8 years.
Oh, it's a long project.
So yeah, it still goes on because it's part of one of the national televisions in Albania. Then I went from there. I went to direct another weekly comedy show as a director. So it was totally different, of course. I can tell you that television in general, from my perspective, it will take you a lot of years. Let's say, for example, you get older faster if you work in a television.
You mean
At least
acting,
you age. Yeah, you age. You age
the
like
roles you get casted for as well.
Faster. You age faster because it's like something that it's weekly. It has to be like. The show was shot on Friday and Saturday, and the best parts were connected together and were like live on Sunday. And then on Monday you had to start working until Friday to do another sketch
it's
or
like non-stop.
Another character. So it's a non-stop thing. It's like going and going. And maybe this is the reason why most of these comedians sometimes they get addicted to drugs or substances to keep themselves like working because it's not easy. But on the time we were young, I was 22. I didn't need any kind of.
You were pumped.
Yeah. So we were young and stupid in a certain way because we were producing a lot. I was writing a lot also. And then I directed a sitcom, one of the first sitcoms in Albania with, let's say, with the Western style. And after that, a second one. And that's how it starts. But when you are behind, it's nice because like you work, and I worked mostly in television because the cinematographic area on the time in Albania was almost inexistent. So they were producing very few movies. There was basically like, I don't know, the budgets were like catastrophic. The governments of that time were not investing at all because in general the politics don't invest at all too much in, let's say, in that part. I don't know here. Here is more like a private sector. There, everything is like supported by the state, most of this, especially the culture, the cinema, and like that. So that on that period, the movies were.
So it was mostly theater
so
and
TV
and
was
TV
the main stream of making money on the time, and that's how I made like what I made, or my friends made what they made. So being behind. Of course, it was a jungle, the television. Like you enjoy directing, but you also face a lot of troubles because what I've seen, like I'm comparing. Compared to here, you have, let's say, 3 people for doing like one position.
Here in Canada?
In Canada.
Yeah. So that's also then also let's cover like
there
the
we had like
between...
one person that was covering 3 different positions. You know, so can you imagine now? Like everybody was overloaded. We wanted to produce so much, but we had so few people. Like, but being behind of the camera, I don't know. It has its own perks.
But does it help you as an actor when you understand the process
as
so
an actor?
well? Like does it help you as an actor?
Well, it helps you as an actor, of course, because you know better what to ask, and you know better how to play, because you know what the camera loves and what don't. So, but the mistake that most of the directors, which also act, do, is that they try to direct themselves. Like you're playing now, but you're also like in your mind. You're also the director. Am I doing this right or am I not doing this right? That is the point that you can destroy what you're trying to build, you
Uh-huh.
know. So it happened to me in the beginnings. In the TV show that I was talking
Mhm.
to you about, I was a comedian. I was playing with two other actors. They were like actors, but I was a director that was doing the actor.
Acting. Mhm.
So, and I caught myself in the first sketches that we were doing, I caught myself that I was controlling them.
Oh, so you were trying, as you were
Yeah,
on
I was
stage,
directing
trying to
them. Yeah.
direct them.
And I was directing them so much that I sometimes I forgot my lines, you know.
Really?
Yeah. And there was some, I remember one of my colleagues, he was saying to me, like, I was so scared when I saw your face on a certain moment because I knew you were not there. And I was like,
You blanked out?
I was not blinking out. I was like, you know, directing him in a certain way, you know, with my mind. You know, it's not that I was really directing him because the job was already
It's
done.
professional
You know?
deformation. It's
Yeah.
like when you
And I was like, and there I caught it. And from that moment and on, I decided with myself that each time you're going to be an actor, just be the
an
actor.
actor.
There's a director there, you know, respect the director and be just the actor. It's not your job, you know.
Speaking of that, I did have that question, and it logically came closer to that question. How is it to be directed by someone else, especially when you are such a long time in the industry and you have a big experience, and then you get on set, and boom, like you have to follow someone else's directing?
Well, me, I think myself as a soldier on that moment. Like you have to take orders.
Okay.
So what I do from my part is that I try to understand who is the director. Like what's the experience of the director. Let's say if it's a young director, there's a lot of possibilities that many things might go wrong because of the non-experience thing, but also it might be a really good job, you know. So you have to give the benefit of the doubt. And I don't judge the directors if they're old or young, like experienced or unexperienced. But I take a careful look of their career, of the way they direct.
So before you come on the set, you will go and you would study.
Yeah,
and
I would just like
check it out.
I would stalk them. No, I'm just kidding.
No, but it's do a little bit of research.
Some people think it's stalking, but no, it's like
it's just
like a regular person that does a research. For example, Roksana. Who's Roksana? And you put it. Google is going to tell you who Roksana is, unless Roksana is not working for the CIA.
No, you cannot hide anything with the current social media. Yeah.
So you just see a little bit like the preferences, or so what this person is made of as a director, and so it's easier for you even to communicate.
To understand what he's looking for in. Okay.
Because my first job in Montreal was in 2016, and I won this small part for Mother in Darren Aronofsky's movie, and I was like. I see the name, you know, but it was also, I just settled, you know, less than a year. So I was like, had my own struggles around, you know. And my agent on the time, Shimon, says like, you have this audition, and I go do the audition and stuff. And I see the name, and I'm just like blank on the name, you know, until a certain point that I'm like, I should Google the director. So finally, and I was a little pissed because there was like 5 auditions for 5 different characters.
For you?
Yeah, but you know,
that's good. Like in
where I came from, there was no auditions on the time. You know, everybody
really?
knows everybody.
Okay.
So it's like, oh, I know Roksana. This part is for her.
She can do that. Okay.
So for me, like getting into an audition, it was a nice experience, you know, but. Not really, like, it's a first one, it's okay. Like, why do you ask me a second one, you know?
Was it the different role or was it callback?
Well, it was like, I think it was 2 or 3 different roles, and then it was a callback for one of these, for just 1 line or 2, you know? And I'm like, now, who's this guy, you know? So I go to my agent and I say like, you know what? They don't want me. And he says, why do you think they don't want me? They called me 5 times, you know, like why do they have to call me 5 times for 2 lines, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, no, the fact that they call you, it means...
That's already a sign.
No, it means that they want you to put you somewhere. Like
Yeah,
they like
sign.
something about you, so they want you to, for you to be in the movie, you know? So you have to go there. And by the way, do you know who the director is? And I'm like, no, yeah, I know. Is this Darren guy? And it's like, are you kidding me? You know? And I'm like, well, no, well, are you sure you don't know the guy? No, I don't know the guy. Are you sure you don't know the guy? And I'm like, take my phone and I see, and I'm like, oh my God. This is Aronofsky, you know, the Black Swan.
Yeah.
You know, P movie and many other movies, you know, Requiem for a Dream. So the guy is like an alpha in directing. And I'm like, oh, wow, you know.
Maybe I should go.
Yeah. And actually, when we had the meetings after, like with the director and stuff, for just because he has to meet every actor on the set, like before starting the shootings, just to have a small discussion, 15 minutes.
Oh, wow.
So that was a nice technique of him.
Yeah.
He was asking questions that had no relationship with the movie.
The rapport.
He was just like trying to understand, like, what's your capacity, like intellectually, like what kind of like, who's your preferred author, what do you like to read, you know, things that
just random kind of.
So just like a small talk, but that sometimes from these small talks you get a lot. And so this was just one of the examples. But after that, for example, I started always to check. Okay, there's an offer from here. Who's the person that is directing? Who's the lady or the... I'm so confused with terms.
Yeah, but I get it. So we actually moved close also to my next question. So when you moved from Albania to Montreal to Canada, you almost like, did you need to because it's almost like starting from scratch somewhat, right? Did you need to reestablish yourself as an actor, and do you continue directing, or you have projects more there? So just how did this whole the shift and like I don't know how, like reset of the journey in Canada, how was it?
When I came here in the beginning, I was like on that point that I was just like thinking, maybe I had enough, you know. I would not.
So you were not coming and thinking, okay, like I'm going there, I was
like really tired, so I needed like a big change, like to change everything. So, and also to have a new challenge. But it was a friend of mine, Tony. He lives here. He's Albanian too. We were sitting in a coffee, and we were talking, and he sees it was the time that newspapers were still physical.
Yeah.
So he's going to these pages and he says, oh, look, there's an audition for this Fringe Festival. And I'm, okay, so what? So why don't you go and do this audition, you know? Like, no. Listen, Tony, I'm so tired. I have an accent, you know, they're not gonna take me. Let's be serious, you know? Who knows me here? Nobody. And he goes like, hey, just go, you know, you have, we have this,
for fun.
No, we have this expression that we say like, you have to ask because the no is already in your pocket. So you already have a no in your pocket.
Yep.
So everybody might say no, but what if they say yes? So you have to ask. And he says, but just go for fun. Like he was seeing me that I needed some challenge maybe, or I don't know. So I go, I do this audition. It was this really nice director in Montreal, Paolo De Paula. And I go to the auditions, I do the audition. He says, I'm gonna call you if, I said, yeah, okay, no problem. Are you comfortable with this, comfortable with that? Yeah, of course. Okay, I'll call you. So he calls me. And it was a play that was written by him, Donald's Affair. And the character that I was supposed to play was actually in the mind of the main character. So sometimes he was coming as a butler, sometimes as a gentleman, sometimes as a waiter. He was coming in different forms. And basically I had to play like kind of a 4-character thing. Because I had to make a few of changes in between these characters. So it's always the same face, but it's not the same person. And I was used from the comedy show. We would play like 2 to 4 characters per night, you know? So you have that kind of ability to think fast. TV gives you that. You should think fast of a solution. So he calls me, he says, the part is yours. We start rehearsing. We had pretty funny moments because I was trying also different accents. I remember this moment when I go like, I do this character and I try to make like for me, in my mind was a Dutch accent. Who knows the Dutch accent? Nobody. So I do this and Paulo says, like, what's that? That's a Dutch accent. No, it's not.
So he knew what.
Yeah. No, it's not. And I'm, okay, but keep it. It's nice. So we had these funny moments. And then later he Googled my name and he comes to me and says like, oh, what's you? I was watching you like work as a professional and all these compliments, but I didn't know that you have an experience, you know? And I say, yeah, but why didn't you tell me? Because I don't need to. And I started from that moment, I was not trying to tell people who I was, you know? And I've tried not to do that even when I was in Albania, but anyway, Albania is like much a smaller country and you, if want it or don't, they're gonna know you, you know, especially when you are in the TV weekly or almost every day sometimes. So here I found that comfortable thing, like walking by my own, you know, having like a relaxed life, you know, nobody cares. Nobody knows, and you go to an audition, you don't show, because sometimes when people see that you have a certain experience, that might not be so good, you know.
They will think that you're overqualified.
Not only that, but it would scare a young director, for example. It would scare them. Me, as a young director on the time, I would not be scared of somebody with experience because I would learn from them, but not let them direct my works, you know. So you know where your place is. But sometimes there are certain directors, for example, they might feel uncertain, they might not feel comfortable. You know, oh, the guy has a lot of experience, like it's better somebody with less experience. So it's not that I was hiding it, but I was not declaiming it, that I have this experience or that experience. But I know, like even if I'm in a set, I know where the camera is put, or
that's easy also for you.
I can feel the energy. Like I can feel if the partner that I have in front is the right one or not the right one, or if it has a temper or not. You know, because the experience also teaches you, if you are the kind of what I said before, like somebody that investigates, you know, observes a lot, you can start to understand even the characters that you have in front of you. Like you figure out who's in front of you. You have to manage, and then you can use it even in real life situations. So I think experience, it's one of the best parts of the knowledge, not only in profession, but also in life. So.
But was it, because also as someone that has the accent, and I think you knew when we first met, we did talk a lot about
I know.
having the accent and like trying to find that spot when everybody is looking after, like for the actors with the standard American accent. You did book quite a bunch of roles. I mean,
A few, not so
yeah,
much, but it's okay. I don't complain.
Are you usually like? Have you often been casted as a Russian origin or Slavic origin?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you can mimic the Russian accent somehow, right?
Well, I thought I would, I could, and I can. Now I can. But before, like, I thought I was doing the Russian accent, but it was not in reality a Russian accent.
Somebody
it was
also
just like
told you not Dutch accent,
yeah,
not Russian.
in the latest one, the Victoria Nasirova
Killer. I saw it there,
killer
yeah,
lookalike.
Killer lookalike,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I did the audition, like it was a self-tape, and I did 2 tapes, like one with a strong accent and one with my regular accent. And then they say me, okay, it's good, that accent, like the one that you have.
The original one.
Yeah. Then they said me like, maybe you should, but this was a conversation between me, Costa, and the production. So the agent.
Oh, we have the same
Yeah.
agent, yeah.
So it was, they want the strong accent. Okay, let's do the strong accent. By the day that I go on set, Kate Aronofsky was there, and Kate has been living in Russia when she was a kid. So she knows pretty well the accent. So she starts to train me, and Kate was training me, and then I was shooting, like on the like in a few minutes. So basically, it changed my entire perspective on the character, you know, because.
Cut one moment, please. Pick up. Don't close. Don't cut.
It's not my mic.
I don't know. Maybe it's mine. I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes my chains touch the table.
Coaching you for like a Russian accent?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, yeah, no, she speaks Russian.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I did interview her last month.
Roksana, can you say something, please?
That was my mic, right? We need to pick up from where?
Pick up from where?
I know where it is. I was speaking last.
When you started talking about the Russian accent,
Yeah.
On
Kate.
when he was already on set with
Yeah.
Kate.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So let's pick it from there then.
Okay.
Yeah. So you were.
wait, you okay?
Can do we start or no?
Yes.
Okay.
So you were on set and then.
So Kate starts to train me about the Russian accent. Like, so I was getting trained for the Russian accent and getting into the shooting
Right
like,
away.
right away almost. You know, sometimes like, let's say in a few minutes or stuff like that. You know, it's very fast, but. In that moment, I was like, my brain had created a different character. And now when you change the accent, it suddenly changes your comportation, you know? Like the comportment, like the way you behave, the behavior. You change the behavior. And
It was stressful,
now you're
I guess.
but that was really stressful, you know? Because I was like, I was feeling like an amateur, you know? I don't want to offend any amateur, but
No, I
was
understand.
feeling like,
yeah, and
you know, like I didn't know the craft. You know, I was stressing out. So, and that is, of course, it's visible in a camera. So, but I got it. You know, I got it on the way. I don't know if I did a good job or not. You know, it's not on me to judge. But so that was the real action, like the real accent, Russian accent. There was also a short movie before that, but we shot it during the pandemic. It's called Yeti of Logan Fulford is the director. It's a young director, very nice one. He has an eye, the guy, and I hope he goes like further. But there I had to play like a Russian officer, that I was interrogating an American soldier, and it was a short movie. There too, I took a few lessons from another guy from the Rubicon Pictures. Oh shit! I forgot the name.
For the accent specifically.
For the
For the
Russian
Russian
accent,
accent,
because I had this officer, and actually the monologue was like I was torturing the guy, which is not funny, but the way he's acting is a little funny because it's like that kind of you Americans, you don't bother to learn our language, but here we are, you know. It's like
The R was
we
exactly the Russian
talk,
accent right now.
we can talk your and so since I'm blonde, you know,
Yeah.
blue eyes, and I create the idea that I'm always like from the rurals. So
I thought when we met, like
Yeah,
I
was
thought
Russian,
that
yeah.
you were from like Russia or Ukraine or something like that.
I get
was-
it, like Russian, Ukrainian. Sometimes they call me. Very few they think I'm German. French speakers they think I'm Irish.
Irish.
Oi.
Irish.
Then Romanian, I've heard.
No,
Also,
that's closer
yeah,
to
it's-
Russian/Ukraine.
So because they have the idea that the Albanians, most of we are darker skinned, you know, browny eyes or brown hair, you know. We have both, of course.
Yeah.
But sometimes they mistake they mistake us for like since we are just above Greece, and people get confused, you know. They think, or we're in front of Italy. Sometimes they get confused with that. And actually, we're like three different populations, you know, but living in the same place for
Yeah.
centuries and always having that fight: who was first, you know? Did you came first, or did you come first? I was first, you know. No, it was me first here, you know. This kind of struggle, which is funny, by the way, because Balkans is you know, like an Albanian director did like the movie once called Balkan Pazar. Bazaar, like it's like
I know
a
the
Balkan
word.
market, you know.
Balkan, I know it. Like
Everybody is with everybody,
Yeah.
struggling with everybody. Everybody loves everybody, you know. But it's a Mediterranean kind of vibe there.
And so, having as someone who does have the accent, did you try, or did you ever thought of, okay, like if I want to get more into acting, try to work on getting the standard American accent? Because many people, it's like me, I started doing the classes because I know that it's some sort of
But,
bottleneck.
you know, let's face the truth. Here, it's sometimes, especially in the American productions, they have this line that they say the standard American accent. And it's like, okay, they have placed this standard, but it's not really fair, to my opinion. Because when you go to the States, and I've been traveling to the States too a lot, when you go to New York, they have an accent. You go to LA, they have another accent. You go to Texas, they have another accent. In Boston, there's another accent. So which one is the American standard accent? So when they say that we need an American standard, sometimes I think that that's the red line that they put, and sometimes that kind of red line penalizes you. It's a penalty for you. You would not go over that line.
Well, sometimes I would look and I would think, okay, like I'm not gonna get it.
Yeah, I know.
It's almost sometimes would stop you from even trying,
Yeah.
because you know, like, okay, forget it. Like,
Because to have that kind of, like, to have an American standard accent, first of all, like according to, let's say, to studies, to psychology, to the developmental psychology, there's a certain age that a kid, since it's born and when he grows up, there's a certain age that your let's say your speaking apparatus here would have some changes.
oh,
You know, so let's say the tongue would hit different than in another language. But let's say plus minus after you pass the 5 years old of age, it's very difficult for you to not have an accent of your mother tongue. And I see it with my daughter. My daughter came, she was 12 when she came here. And sometimes there's in certain moments you can get that she has an accent somewhere. My son, who was 4 on the period, no accent.
There's no.
It's just that they know that he's like from Albania, his friends, but he has no accents. He can talk like 3, 4. He can just joke with 3, 4 dialects of French or of English. You know, so it's and there's much possibilities for this kind of generation than for our generation. I when I came here, I was 35. So my entire, let's say, my entire life changes, but my accent does not change quite a lot. You know? Of course, it has changed because I was learning English since I was 7, 8 years old. And in French, I was an autodidact, you know, like just learning by ear. And it helped me because I speak Italian too. And it helped me. Italian helped me with the French. Albania helped me just to talk at home. And the English is like a more, let's say, more spread language around the entire world. You know, wherever you go, you will find a person that speaks English. So you can just talk, you know. So even my English, when I came and that I studied since I was a kid, when I came here, it was very difficult for me to understand sometimes. I remember I was working in this play with Dale Hayes. She's a very nice director for theater. She is like, and a very nice person. And I was like in one of the plays, I said I can't. You know, because it was I can't. You know, I can't.
I used
you know?
to do exactly.
We say I can't, not I can't.
I used to say
well,
exactly
I can't,
the same
because
way.
it was the British thing,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know. Don't say that. Say I can't. Okay, I can't. Would you like a cup of tea? So that kind of it changes through the years, and I preserve all, like I'm a kind of I have this small archive of mine that I keep most documented stuff from my works, or even my auditions. The auditions that I've done here, especially the self-tapes. And I keep them just in case. And when I see a self-tape that I might have done like in 2017 or 2018 compared to the self-tapes now, it's like night and day, you know. There's a lot of change. And but it's always going to be an accent, and you have to face it. And they are not fair when it comes to this kind of American standard accent. Okay, but I don't know. You can watch a movie. I've seen a lot of movies that these actors are playing Albanian guys, and they're not Albanian. I can tell you. You know, they're not Albanian at all. You know. Once there was this British guy, like British English. He played an Albanian gangster. Can you imagine? You know, it's like.
Did he have an accent, special Albanian accent?
No, he was trying to do an accent, but to me it looked more like a Scottish accent. You know,
Dutch.
It was a
Dutch accent.
So there's all this like mixture sometimes, because there's stereotypes like, if you talk like this, you should be always Russian. You know, it's not true. You know, not every Russian speaks like that. You know?
Yeah.
Like if you have that accent, you are from East Europe. That's for sure. What they say, but not all the time they can distinguish.
So you decided, okay, I am whatever I am.
And it's not about like taking somebody else's job. Like, because I've heard also that, like, no, if you're not, let's say you're not Albanian, you should not take that job. No, sometimes the director doesn't care, because when it doesn't care if you're really from that area of the world. For him, it's important that he has a good actor to do what he wants or she wants on the camera, you know, like on the movie. So I'm not really. I've heard this kind. There's a lot of political movements on this part too. That no, if you're not from that country, you should not take the part. You should refuse it. Well, if I refuse it, you're gonna take it. Why refuse it?
Why not
If
give it a
it's mine.
try? No,
If
you
it's
always
mine,
have in the pocket,
yeah,
right?
yeah, the no is always in the pocket.
Okay.
So you're not stealing somebody else's job. I've always thought with myself, like, nobody steals you the part, you know? And if you don't take that part, it doesn't mean that the guy that took that part was better than you. It's just that the director or the casting director wants that guy.
He fits better.
He fits for that
whatever
character,
reason.
you know? It's not yours. If it was yours, you're gonna take it. But it's not yours. So I don't feel bad when I lose like an audition. And the more auditions you lose than you get, especially after the self-tape self-tape generation. It's all is done because before you would go to the casting director, the audition is live, and you have the casting director there, and he or she is going to direct you. So basically, you know what to do. Now, when you do a self-tape, first of all, it's hard to get the reader. And you have to bother always your friends, or you have to pay somebody who, it depends. Like sometimes you do that mistake of recording the reader yourself, you know.
I did that when I had no reader.
But it's sometimes you have to do that.
Yeah,
it's not nice.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
sometimes it's impossible. Like if you get an audition today for and you have to deliver tomorrow, which is even that I feel there's certain gaps. Like there's something wrong in this line of this industry. You know, I was thinking when I was watching that from the outside, it was too perfect. It's not perfect at all. It has a kind of a decline on this thing. They should go back to live auditions.
Well, they're
to those
coming
calls,
back,
you know.
But yeah, slowly, but yeah, not yet there in the same.
No, but now they found comfort on this. They found comfort. Oh, it's much easier, you know. It's much easier in a certain way, but it damages the talents on the other side. Because you ask me to self-tape, I do it like I think. I give you at least, and because there's a funny thing, they say like not more than 2 takes from the same.
Yeah, and if those 2 takes should be completely different, so yeah.
What if I had a third one that is better than those of 2? Or what if the third one that I'm not sending to you is the one that you are looking for? But if you are live with the casting director, then you know what they're asking. So you know that what they're really asking, and you would give your best for them. That's the thing that, to me, like it doesn't balance it too much. I started my career after the studies as a casting director in a movie. It was a co-production in Italy and Albania on 2002, I think, 2002, 2003. I started as the assistant of the casting director. The casting director on the time was a casting director from Argentina, I think. She was working for Lucky Red, was one of these Lucky Red distribution companies, like a big company on the time, because now there's a lot of names. And I learned a lot from her, the way she was doing the auditions with the actors. And that was, in Albania, it was a little like, there was not too much auditions because people knew each other, had their preferences. But in this case, they came from Italy, so they said, we have to audition all the Albanian actors. You know, we did auditions in Italy for the Italian parts, now we have to audition in Albania. So I was working as an assistant casting director with her, and after I worked also as an assistant director with the director in the movie. And that was like a second school for me, like a master. And I saw what they were looking, but what I saw is that we found a few of the characters that later played in the movie actually was not the guys that were auditioning, were the guys that were just coming with them as friends. Let's say we go together now to an audition, you have an audition, and the casting director looks at me like and says, "Oh, okay, you know what? Can you come in too? Like we want to try you on something else, you know?" And or maybe we want to try because now we're like boy and girl, but if we were like
I understand. Yeah, I get it.
So and that's how we got a few of the actors on that movie, because they were coming like just occasionally, like just oh, I'm with this friend, you know, he's gonna do your audition to you, and then we're gonna get a coffee or a beer or whatever, and we got these actors like that. It doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah, it's different. You know? The industry is changing, so.
And when it comes to our part that we are, let's say, naturalized citizens, so we have that stamp, always the accent, you know. Sometimes what I've heard from different directors that I've met here is that you have a different way of acting. I don't know like how my acting differs from the Western acting, but probably it differs because they see something, you know. And when they like it, they take you. They don't like it, of course, they will not gonna take you, you know. So.
Okay. So then I'll a wrap up question for our conversation. What's next for Gent?
For the moment, I'm working on a script. I have already 2 scripts. I'm gonna this script. I'm very hopefully we're gonna produce it. But it's still early to talk about. So I don't want to jinx it.
Yeah, don't. Okay.
I would like to go also back to the theater because the moment that I started directing here in Canada, I directed a play in West Island, and which by the way it was very successful, a very nice comedy, the comedy of tenors. And right on the last show that we gave, the next day, everything was closed down, COVID.
Oh, wow.
So all the plans that I had after that comedy, like just went down like everybody's else, you know. And I would like to go back on that, and probably I would like to go back also on a little bit of acting myself, like in a theater play. But I haven't try to get any auditions because in the meantime I found this desire to and actually I'm going to start on September a master for drama therapy because to put like let's say it comes a certain age that you want to be more useful. It's not about like those 5 minutes of glory. I already had that in back there, you know. So I'm not that kind of dreamer that one day I'm gonna end up in Hollywood and Hollywood like red carpet and Charlize Theron after me, and no. I know it's not gonna happen. But I thought like all my knowledge to put it in a more useful way, and since the profession of directing is very connected with the drama therapy, I said, why not? Okay. And this is always like taking me a little bit of time because I'm getting back to studies, which is not like 20 years ago. But it's something that I like, and it's like a mixture in between directing and psychology, and you can help people. So you put your knowledge not just on the entertainment part, but also in the helping people.
New purpose. Oh.
So that's almost my plans. But you know, life goes on. We can make plans, but life goes on.
But well, I can at least you know, like it's great to have the plans and to have a very clear vision of what you want to do, where you want to go.
And who knows? Maybe one day something else comes on the way, you know, and
Yeah.
it changes your direction. And
I'll keep an eye on whatever the casting calls for your play.
oh, thank you.
Whatever.
First, I will have to.
Okay, thank you very much for your time. It was an interesting conversation. Interesting
Thank
also
you.
to hear about a different experience in a different country, and I can relate to as someone who is also immigrated here and now trying to build a career.
It's a country like that was built by
different-
immigrants.
Yeah. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Maybe we should cut this last one.
We could edit it always.
Maybe we should.
Guys, I hope you enjoyed the conversation just like I did, and looking forward to see you on the next episode, Rising Stars.